Have you ever noticed how a woman who once ignored your messages suddenly starts missing you the moment you stop chasing her? It feels strange, doesn't it? The same woman who seemed too busy now watches your stories, likes your posts, and finds subtle ways to appear in your life again. Why does that happen? Why do women suddenly change when you go silent? It's not magic. It's psychology deep. Primal psychology that's been hardwired into female behavior for thousands of years. Because when you stop contacting her, you trigger something inside her that no words, no gifts, and no begging ever could: uncertainty. Uncertainty is the mother of attraction. And when a woman no longer feels sure about your attention, her emotions start working against her logic. At first she feels relief, then curiosity, then confusion, and eventually, obsession. This is not manipulation, it's understanding how nature designed attraction to work. In this video, you'll learn exactly what happens inside a woman's mind when you go silent, why she starts thinking about you, why her behavior shifts, and how to stay in control of the game most men never understand. Because once you know this truth, you'll never chase again. Chapter 1: The Shock of Silence. When you stop contacting a woman, you're not just withholding attention, you're shaking her emotional foundation. Most men underestimate how deeply a woman relies on attention, not because she's weak, but because society has conditioned her to measure her worth through validation. Think about Emily from London. She was used to Daniel texting every morning, asking how her day was going, complimenting her photos, and keeping her emotionally fed. To her it felt normal. To him it felt romantic. But to her subconscious mind, it became routine, like having coffee every morning. She didn't crave it until it stopped. The moment Daniel stopped reaching out, that routine broke. At first, Emily told herself she was relieved. Finally, some space, she thought. She even told her friends, "He's probably just busy." But when the next morning came and there was no message, something inside her shifted. That little buzz of validation she was used to was gone. Here's what most men don't realize. Women often attach emotional significance not to the man himself, but to the feeling his attention gives them. That consistent validation releases dopamine, the same brain chemical that activates during excitement, shopping, or social media likes. So when you go silent, it's like cutting off her emotional supply line. At first, she pretends it doesn't matter. But soon she starts checking her phone without realizing it. Every notification makes her heart race for a second, hoping it's you, then disappointment hits. That pattern of emotional highs and lows becomes addictive. This is where something called intermittent reinforcement kicks in, the same principle casinos use. When rewards are uncertain, they become more powerful. By disappearing, you've just become the emotional jackpot she wants to hit again. Emily begins to remember your messages more vividly. She reopens old chats, reads your compliments again, and tries to analyze your last words. Was he angry? Did I say something wrong? Did he lose interest? She's not missing you yet, she's missing the certainty of your attention. And this is the first stage of attraction reactivation: uncertainty. Because women crave emotional stimulation, not logical reassurance. When you stop chasing, you're not playing games. You're creating space for her emotions to do the chasing for you. This is why silence is so powerful. It forces her to face an emotional vacuum, and nature hates a vacuum. The silence grows louder every day you don't message her. She starts imagining what you're doing, who you're with, whether you've moved on, and the more her imagination fills the silence, the more power you gain. That's when you shift from the guy who wanted her to the man she can't figure out. Because women in New York, London, Sydney, or Toronto, no matter how confident they appear, are drawn to mystery. It's in their biology. Predictable men make them feel safe. Unpredictable men make them feel alive. And silence is the most unpredictable move you can make. Chapter 2: The Emotional Roller Coaster. When you stop contacting her, you trigger a storm inside her mind, one she won't show on the outside. At first, she pretends everything's fine. Olivia from New York tells her friends she's so over it. She posts selfies, nights out, and new beginnings captions. But behind those filters, there's tension. Because here's what's happening inside her psychologically. Your silence has created uncertainty, and uncertainty creates anxiety. Anxiety demands closure. And when she can't get closure from you, her mind keeps circling back, searching for answers that don't exist. At first, she blames you. He's immature. He's ghosting me. Then she blames herself. Was I too cold? Did I say something wrong? Then she tries to fix it not by reaching out, but through indirect attention-seeking. That's when she posts those glow-up photos. It's not coincidence.
It's psychology.
She's trying to reassert control to make you notice her again. Women are emotional strategists. When they lose control of a situation, they try to regain it by influencing how you perceive them. That's why she might suddenly appear more active online, look extra glamorous, or post subtle hints like, "Some people don't deserve access to your energy." But the truth is, she's not making a statement to the world. She's speaking to you without saying your name. Her ego is in a tug-of-war with her emotions. Her pride tells her not to care. Her heart whispers, "Why isn't he texting?" That confusion becomes an emotional roller coaster. She feels relief one moment and frustration the next. She tells herself she doesn't care, but checks your profile late at night just to see if you're active. The more she tries to suppress the feeling, the more it grows. Because what you've taken away isn't attention, it's emotional certainty. Men give attention logically, they express interest because they like someone. Women, however, respond emotionally, they attach to uncertainty, to challenge, to curiosity. By removing yourself, you've unknowingly awakened her most powerful emotion, curiosity. And curiosity is dangerous, because once a woman starts wondering, "Why did he stop talking to me?" she'll start remembering every little detail about you. She'll replay conversations in her head, your tone, your jokes, your last message. She'll read between lines that don't even exist. That's how obsession starts, not from contact but from the lack of it. So while Olivia pretends she's fine, she's secretly measuring her worth through your silence. Every day that passes without your text makes her question her importance. That questioning creates tension, and tension is the birthplace of attraction. Your silence has become her mirror. It reflects back everything she doesn't want to admit: her need for attention, her fear of rejection, and her hidden emotional dependency. And the more she tries to run from it, the more she gets trapped inside it. That's why in modern dating, the man who can remain silent has the real power. Not because he's manipulative, but because he's emotionally disciplined. In a world where everyone chases validation, your calm indifference becomes magnetic. Chapter 3: The Shift in Power. Silence does something most men underestimate. It changes the power dynamic. Before she had emotional leverage, you texted first, you apologized first, you made her feel like she was the prize. But when you go silent, something flips and she starts to feel what you once felt. Take Sarah from Manchester, for example. She used to love the attention from Michael. Every day his messages made her feel admired and desired. But when he stopped texting, that admiration turned into confusion. At first, she brushed it off. He's just playing hard to get. But as days turned into weeks, that confidence started to crack. Because she realized she wasn't in control anymore. When a man goes silent, he removes her ability to predict him. And unpredictability is both thrilling and terrifying for women. She starts wondering, is he seeing someone else? Did he lose interest? Was he never that into me? That uncertainty creates emotional tension, and tension always leads to curiosity. Psychologically, women are drawn to challenge because it activates the reward centers in their brain. When something feels difficult to attain, it feels more valuable. That's why the moment you stop chasing, your value skyrockets. Sarah begins to compare you to other men, the ones flooding her DMs, trying too hard, showing too much interest. And suddenly, she realizes something: none of them make her feel the same thrill she felt with you. Because your silence has turned you into a mystery. And mystery is the most powerful form of attraction. It makes her imagine instead of assume. It makes her crave instead of control. Every unanswered message becomes a question mark in her mind. Every day without hearing from you builds tension she can't release. And here's where the shift in power becomes permanent. You've become the one being pursued. But it only works if your silence comes from strength, not fear. Weak silence says, "I hope she notices me." Strong silence says, "I'm at peace whether she does or not." That difference changes everything. When a man is silent from confidence, his energy radiates calm power. When he's silent from insecurity, it leaks desperation. So if you want her to feel your absence, you must truly be comfortable in it. Sarah eventually sends that "Hey stranger" text. It's not random, it's her way of checking if she still has emotional power over you. And when you reply with composed detachment, she feels something new: respect. Because the man who doesn't chase her teaches her to value him. That's when she realizes silence wasn't rejection, it was reflection. You didn't disappear to punish her. You stepped back to protect your peace. And that's exactly what turns a woman's curiosity into admiration. Because in a world full of men who beg for attention, the one who walks away with quiet dignity becomes unforgettable. Chapter 4. When she starts to miss you. This is the stage where everything changes. The silence that once frustrated her now begins to sting in a different way. At first, she tried to convince herself she didn't care. She distracted herself with nights out in Los Angeles, with friends telling her, "Forget him, Olivia. You deserve better." She laughed, she smiled, but deep down, something was missing. Because the truth is, women don't miss your presence. They miss how they felt when you were around. It starts subtly. She hears a song that reminds her of you. She passes a restaurant where you once ate together. Little triggers that bring back emotional memories. And when those memories return, her pride starts losing ground. That's when nostalgia begins to rewrite the story. She forgets the moments she found you too available or too nice. Instead, she starts remembering your confidence, your energy, the way you made her feel secure and seen. Women's minds are emotional. Editors, they reshape past experiences based on their current emotional state. When you were texting too much, she felt suffocated. Now that you're gone, she romanticizes it. Emily in London once told her best friend after a breakup, "I didn't realize how much he cared until he stopped caring." That's the paradox. Women often need your absence to appreciate your presence. As she begins to miss you, she'll try subtle ways to reopen communication without looking weak. A "Hey stranger" message, a reaction to your story, a random question she could have Googled. Every one of those is a test, a gentle knock on the door of your attention. She wants to see if the man she once knew is still waiting on the other side. Most men fail here. They rush back in, flooding her with emotion and undoing everything their silence built. But the wise man, the stoic man, stays composed. He responds calmly, briefly, without chasing. Because he understands that attraction is rebuilt not through effort, but through energy. When she reaches out, she's not testing your love, she's testing your strength. She wants to know if the man who once needed her now needs nothing. If you respond with emotional control, she'll feel something powerful, respect mixed with desire. That's when her emotional investment reignites. And here's the deeper psychology. Women are wired to chase emotional equilibrium. They want to feel like they've won back what they lost. Your silence has made her feel uncertain. Now she seeks closure. But the more composed you are, the more you deny her that closure and the more she chases it. This is where your power solidifies. Because now she's no longer thinking about why you left, she's thinking about how to get you back. And that's when missing turns into longing. Chapter 5, the reversal of roles. When the silence stretches and you remain unmoved, the game flips. The woman who once felt untouchable begins to feel vulnerable. And the man who once chased now holds quiet control. This is the reversal of roles the moment she starts to mirror everything you once did. Sarah from Toronto used to ignore Michael's texts, leaving him on read for hours. Now, weeks after he stopped reaching out, she catches herself staring at her phone, hoping for his name to appear. She double-checks her appearance before posting a story. Not for validation from followers, but to grab his attention. Because now your silence has become the most powerful statement you've ever made. In female psychology, when a woman feels she's lost emotional power, her instinct isn't to move on, it's to restore balance. That's why she starts testing boundaries again. She might text you casually, mention another guy, or pretend she's moved on. But don't be fooled, every test hides a question. Does he still care? The key is emotional neutrality. When you respond without attachment, she feels the change. The man she once controlled emotionally is now untouchable. That shift does something primal inside her. It triggers her competitive instinct. Women compete emotionally, not physically. When they can't manipulate a man's attention, they start trying to earn it. Now she begins doing things she never did before, initiating conversations, asking deeper questions, bringing up old memories, complimenting you more. She's trying to rebuild emotional intimacy. And while she may not admit it, she's now chasing your validation. The reversal is complete when she begins to fear losing you. Because women aren't driven by possession, they're driven by emotion. The fear of losing emotional control is stronger than the fear of rejection. When she starts to imagine you with another woman laughing, living, thriving, jealousy seeps in. She won't show it directly, but you'll feel it in her tone, in her sudden curiosity about your life. That's when she realizes something profound. The power she once held over you no longer exists. And paradoxically, that's when her attraction peaks. Because women don't crave dominance, they crave emotional challenge. The man who can't be easily won becomes the man she can't stop thinking about. So as the roles reverse, remember this truth: you didn't win by manipulation, you won by mastery. Because your silence wasn't about control, it was about reclaiming your peace. And peace is what makes a man truly desirable. Chapter 6: The Stoic Man's Advantage. At this point, she's emotionally reactive and you're calm. That calmness, that unshakable energy is what sets the Stoic man apart. The Stoic man doesn't stop contacting her to play games. He does it because he's anchored in something deeper: self-respect. James from Sydney once said after a painful breakup, "I stopped texting not because I wanted her to miss me, but because I needed to remember who I was without her." That's stoicism in motion. The Stoic man doesn't seek to win emotional battles. He seeks to master his reactions. When you stop contacting her, your focus shifts inward. You start working on your body, your purpose, your finances, your mental peace. You start living again. And as you rise, your energy changes. You become grounded, composed, confident, the type of man who doesn't need attention to feel worthy. Women sense this energy instantly. They might not understand it logically, but emotionally they feel the difference. It's like walking into a room and noticing who commands respect without speaking. That's the Stoic man's power, quiet dominance. He doesn't chase, argue, or explain. He simply is. And that state of being is magnetic because it's rare. Most men today are emotionally impulsive. They text out of anxiety, react out of insecurity, and give away power through constant availability. But the Stoic man operates differently. He's driven by discipline, not desire. When you go silent, you're not punishing her, you're protecting your energy. You're saying, "I will not invest in someone who cannot meet me with equal respect." That boundary is powerful because it communicates everything words can't, and women respect boundaries more than affection. Eventually, one of two things happens. She either elevates to meet your level, or she walks away. And if she walks, that's not loss, that's revelation. Because a woman who disappears when you set boundaries was never meant to stay. This is where true stoicism shines. You understand that your peace matters more than her approval. Silence isn't a tactic, it's a test of her patience, her intentions, and your self-control. When you pass it, you transcend emotional dependency. You stop asking, "Will she come back?" and start saying, "Will I even care if she does?" That's when your mindset transforms from reactive to powerful. And ironically, that's when she usually comes back, because women are drawn to men who no longer need them. But whether she returns or not doesn't matter anymore. Because you've already won not her heart, but your self-mastery. That's the Stoic man's advantage. Conclusion. So here's the truth. When you stop contacting a woman, she doesn't just wonder where you went. She starts questioning who she was to you. Your silence forces her to confront what she took for granted. It flips the script, shifts the power, and exposes the reality of emotional dependence. Some women will come back not because they love you, but because they crave the validation your absence took away. Others will stay gone, and that's good. Because silence also filters out those who never valued you. Either way, you win. Because silence is not about manipulation, it's about mastery. It's about becoming a man who doesn't beg for attention, but attracts it through presence, purpose, and peace. Remember, a woman's desire grows in your absence, but only if your silence carries strength, not bitterness. So stay grounded, stay focused, and never forget the most powerful words a man can ever say are the ones he chooses not to. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.